And so
Mm.
I just attest all of that to the brand itself. People are always so surprised that it's so clean that they don't see, trucking material or 18 wheelers. And
Hmm.
that's exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to give a consulting feel. I wanted to give something that wasn't out here. And it's
Yeah.
it's working great. It's going great
Yes.
for business, great for marketing. So
Welcome to another episode of the Lady Trucking CEO podcast. My name is Camille Kitchener-Ellis. I am your host, and I am so thrilled to bring another amazing guest for you today, Miss Akira Barlow. How are you today?
hi, Camille. I am doing great. How about yourself?
I'm great. God is good. I can't even complain.
Yes, yes, yes. We cannot complain. We cannot.
So, can you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell the audience who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. Again, like Camille said, my name is Akira Barlow. I am the CEO and the brand visionary behind Dispatch with Barlow. We are a premier luxury boutique dispatch agency where we literally focus on just increasing profits, the presence, and the productivity of owner operators, especially new authorities.
Wow. So, tell us a little bit about what that looks like for you on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely. And I'm sure a lot of people watching this podcast or listening have already they know what dispatching is. They've heard of dispatching, they've seen it online. And I was one of those same people. I saw it online. I saw people talking about it, especially in the span of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally got a phone call from one of my friends, like, hey, the girls are dispatching on Facebook. And I'm like, what is that? Like, let me do a little research. So after researching, here I am. And typically, my days here is mostly focused on customer service and just promoting a service that stands by what it advertises.
Okay.
Although we dispatch, our brand is actually set up like a real estate brokerage. So if you see our website, if you see my page, you will notice that we don't have any trucking marketing because that is it's not our vision. Our vision is to be a chic, clean, cohesive brand that focuses more on dispatch consulting as opposed to just booking loads. So
Oh,
on a day-to-day basis, we are busy, we are booked, and we are focused on learning the market and just making new relationships.
wow. Okay. So you said that you run the business like a real estate
Yes.
brokerage. So I don't know how a real estate brokerage actually runs. I don't know what that business model looks like. So can you break it down for those of us who have
Absolutely.
no idea what that actually means?
Absolutely. So typically in the real estate world, and I'm not a
Hmm.
realtor, I don't have any real estate background or anything like that. I do have quite a few friends who are realtors,
Hmm.
and the way they structure themselves, whether they have a broker, which would be the head person, which I
Hmm.
kind of consider myself to be the broker of this dispatching company, and then you have agents underneath you.
Okay.
And those agents are actually doing most of the listing and the buying and the selling and all of that. So here
Mm.
I am kind of like the broker. I kind of navigate and lead. However, I have agents under me that actually perform the services.
That is so cool. That is
Right. And
really, really cool. I've
and they're paid a
never.
commission the same way like a real estate brokerage would be.
Okay.
Um, and I take a portion of that as well.
Wow. Okay. And so when you first got started, up and from the first time you got started up until now, you've been able to generate over six figures in your business.
Yes, we generated literally over $200,000 in 12 months. So
Wow. Wow.
yes.
So you run your dispatch company like a real estate brokerage. You have agents that kind of work under you on commission,
Mhm.
and you basically run the dispatch company just like you kind of oversee all of the operations and everything
Pretty
that
much.
goes on there.
Yep. I cover everything. Like I take care of the marketing, I take care of the leads. Like they don't have to do anything but dispatch. I bring them the
Mm.
carrier, I assign it over to them, kind of give them a game plan and a strategy, and they handle the day-to-day operations.
Wow. And so, okay. So that sounds really amazing. And like the level of success within 12 months is pretty awesome. And I know
It
that,
is.
for women out there who might be listening or who might be thinking of like, doing something new or doing something different, this might be an option for them, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
Even
before
for
you,
people, I'm sorry, go
go
ahead,
ahead. No,
Camille.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Even for people that just want a passive stream of income, because that is exactly how I ended in this space. I wanted to kind of create an additional stream of income for my family, to break those generational curses. So I decided to kind of hop in this. The overhead was extremely low. So for anybody that may not even have a real passion for trucking or even a passion for dispatching themselves, the business model is relatively easy to replicate, and you don't physically have to perform the service. It's like any other business. You can start the business and hire other people to execute the vision.
Wow. Okay. So like when it comes to hiring people, how does that part of it work for you? How do you handle that part? Because I know finding good people to work with you is a little daunting.
Daunting would be in all caps, okay? And I must admit, it is quite challenging. I faced the issue this morning where I had a dispatcher pretty much say, hey, I don't want to continue to move forward today with this particular trucking company. And then I've had owners that have requested, hey, they may not want to work with someone. So there's been all sorts of layers to this hiring thing and finding the right people. What I've learned, Camille, is number one, you hire people in their role. And in the role in which you hire, you don't expect more. I've set myself up for tons of disappointments just by expecting of me from other people. And just as a leader, I had to realize that nobody is me. Nobody's going to perform exactly like me. And I had to laugh yesterday, actually. I was thinking about, how you work in maybe a call center job, like a 9 to 5, and when the boss is not there, you're kind of relaxed. You kind of like printing paper, like it's the same kind of thing you have to take in consideration, even in trucking. This particular job requires a lot of education. It requires a lot of research, and it requires a lot of effort. And a lot of people don't have that tenacity to want to continue on and to work really hard because they're being paid a commission. So I've learned to really, really vet by asking questions in regards to why do they even want this position? Why are they can you hear me, Camille? Are we good?
Yes, I can.
Why are they even interested in joining the trucking industry altogether? Sometimes when I hear people say, well, hey, I'm just looking for a job, I just need, to make ends meet, I've realized that those are red flags. And those are not the type of people I want to bring on. I want to work with people who find themselves enjoying this whole trucking space, because you do have to have a passion for it.
Yes.
You do have to care about your relationship with these drivers and these carriers. And when you're hiring people that are representing you and representing your brand and representing your level of integrity, it's really, really, really hard. And you have to constantly train. You have to constantly provide the resources for them to do the very best at their job. And it can be hard. There are so many people that have tried to work for me because they've started their own dispatch companies that may not have been successful, or people who aspire to start their own companies and think, okay, well, let me just work for her, see what to do, and then I can go start my own. Wow. Those are the kind of things and people you kind of want to stay away from, because you do want to build a team that's here for the long haul. Exactly. So I'll be honest, it's been challenging. But God has really, really delivered. He has brought me some people who genuinely care about my brand, care about our mission, and care about the drivers that we come in contact with.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. God is so good like that. Okay, so we're gonna go back a little bit into you, like way before you started your dispatch company. Hey guys, I know you're enjoying the episode, but if you have not yet liked this video or subscribed to this channel, please stop for a moment. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and the notification bell so that you will be notified every time we drop a new episode. Let's get back to the show. Let's go back to like when you were like 14 years old. Who was Akira Barlow? What's 14-year-old Akira like?
At 14, I was an avid reader. My aunt always would get me books. My mom would buy me books. Like I was literally like, I was a babysitter girl, like literally like freak. Okay. I had all of the books to the series. Like I was always a reader. I was always a researcher. And I knew at 14 that I always wanted to be my own boss. I knew that I would have my own business. I actually started my first business in high school. So
Wow. What kind of business
yes.
was it?
It's so crazy because I started like this little homework paper system. So if you didn't want to do your own homework, if you did not want to do your own essays, I actually hire other girls to work with me and everything. Like we had a real good
Wow.
system going. It almost got you kicked out of school, but it was like my first taste of entrepreneurship. And
Mm.
from then on, I moved into kind of a finance background. I got into taxes, I got into credit. And then I kind of got into just taking the funds from those business ventures, creating other small businesses. And now I'm a serial entrepreneur. This dispatching thing is actually just one aspect of who I am today.
Mm, okay. So what would you say is your driving force? Like what, because you started you have multiple businesses and you're like really on the go. So what drives you?
Just breaking generational curses. Just literally, I live in Mississippi. I'm from Mississippi. So seeing day-to-day poverty is enough to say, hey, you got to do it. You got to get it
Right.
together. You know, I have experienced my own, setbacks in business as well as life. And those
Mm,
moments, those dark times have really shaped me into saying, hey, you can't give up. You won't give up. You have to continue to go. And so just remembering those days where things weren't always great, those are the days that fuel me. They make me wake up every morning. Like I can literally go back to days where I could barely feed myself. And those days literally pop in my
wow.
mind at 4 a.m., baby, and I'm up out the bed ready to
Mm,
dispatch, okay? Like
mhm.
whatever it takes. And so just breaking generational curses, being able to provide layers of just financial peace for my own family members
Mhm.
eventually is my driving force.
Yeah. And it's so important because there are, with the economy the way it is, and
Yes. Oh my
things,
God.
you hear so much going on in the news and so many different things that people are doing to try to make money. And it's just crazy, when you think
Yes.
about your kids or your family, like you said, like it could really be it's very motivating to, make you want to get up and get going because oh,
Yes.
Jesus, it's not easy. It's not
It's
easy.
not. It's not. It's not.
I heard a mentor of mine say one time, not having money is not easy. Having money is not easy.
Mhm.
Pick your
Pick your
heart.
battle.
You
Yes.
got to pick which one,
Yes.
as you see people who have a lot of money and they're like, oh, it's a lot of problems, but at the same time, either way, it's hard.
Right. It
Oh,
is. It is. And
yeah.
times have definitely changed. I think we are seeing the effects of just financial changes, even in trucking
Mhm.
and in everyone's day-to-day life. You have
Mhm.
to continue to go but you have to have that motivation deep within.
So where do you, as far as like your mindset and when you're in those difficult moments or you're faced with something that's just like, oh, this ain't even worth, I don't even know about this no more. How do you deal with that? Like where do you go, or where do you find the strength to keep going?
My faith, my faith. I can say over the last just couple of years, my
Mm-hmm.
relationship with God has grown so much.
Mm-hmm.
I've changed so much as a woman. My mother-in-law has played a huge role in helping me cross that barrier of just building my own sturdy relationship with God. And once I've tapped into that, you can't go back. You can't go back.
So true.
And so those moments where I'm feeling like, Lord, I can't do this, or this is overwhelming, or you know what, I could just get a 9 to 5 because this is too much. You
Baby,
know,
this
like
entrepreneurship game is
yes, it's no joke, okay? It's no joke. And moments like that, I just rely on my faith. I literally had a moment this morning where I'm like, look, I got to just get in the car and God, listen, where's this gospel music? Like, let me just
mm,
sit here in your presence in this moment, just so I can get clarity to just move forward with the day. And I think that that is important. I try not to eliminate the fact that God has done so much. He has shown
mhm,
me so much favor. So
mhm.
I cannot eliminate sharing that good news with anybody.
Yeah, I think sometimes we forget, or when we move away from our true source, that's when we really get lost. and
Definitely.
things don't you know,
Align.
yeah, and you find you end up wondering, like, why am I even doing this? What is this even worth it? Or like, what am I even doing here, you know?
Right.
And it's hard sometimes, but I realize, just like you said, having that one-on-one relationship with God where you're just like, okay, God, what you really want me to do? Because at
Right.
this point, I don't know.
It's in your hands. Like, it's your business, Lord. Like, have your way. Like, you're the
Okay,
CEO. I'm the employee. Just tell me where to go. Okay. What do you want me to do today? And I literally
exactly.
have my moments like this. I
Exactly.
do. I do.
Wow. Okay, so what would you say so far, as with now that you're in trucking and you're dispatching, what has been one of the most challenging things that you've come across?
The most challenging thing that I deal with on a regular basis is mindset and direction. So when you're working with other, and I tell people, when these trucking companies, they are entrepreneurs. You know,
Mm-hmm.
these are their small businesses. So when they are trusting dispatchers to help put food on the table and
Mm-hmm.
make that money, a lot of them have a little bit of restraint. They still want to
Mm-hmm.
kind of control some things. They still want to kind of, you know, be hands on. And it could be a little frustrating as a dispatcher as you're working and you're getting calls from them and they have expectations and they have requests, they have preferences. So it's a lot to take in. So on a challenge, on a day-to-day basis, the most challenging thing is keeping them motivated and allowing them, giving them the proper tools to trust me as a
Right.
dispatcher. That
Okay.
could be extremely challenging. I've had a call yesterday. The lady was telling me, like, hey, you know, I know my authority is brand new. I've only been in operation about 3 weeks, but I know I can work at the ports. I know I can do intermodal. Like, I want to start today. And it's like, wait a minute. I know that you're seeing this information here and there, but it may not always be accurate what we're seeing
Right.
online. And so
Mm-hmm.
when you're taking what you're seeing online and you're counting it as fact and you're presenting it to someone who knows the facts, it could be a little hard to try to convince somebody like, hey, I think you've been sold a dream. You know, like, let's talk about reality. The reality
Yeah.
is we need to build up this MC. We need to build
Mm.
up this work, and then we can transition into some of those other things. So just dealing with battling what social media says, their mindset and keeping them motivated, it could be quite challenging. Like, it
Mm.
could be quite challenging.
So how do you, like, what's your secret sauce as far as um being able to show up in that relationship and kind of cultivate that relationship with your clients so that they gain the trust and they understand that you see where they're coming from, but at the same time, how do you navigate that part of the relationship?
That's a great question. I try to bombard them with education. We have an email campaign where we're constantly updating them each week on the market. We share resources. So if I see a video that is, you know, effective to their particular situation or just effective in general for their trucking
Mhm.
company, I share the information. If I can bring on a guest host, because I do have webinars for my carriers, we get online on Zoom once a month and we all just kind of talk about different opportunities. I may go over business funding or business credit, just different topics that really will help them stay in business as long as possible.
Mm.
So as I constantly give them information and give them resources, they learn to trust me. They learn to understand that Akira don't play. She is researching and she knows her stuff. So
Mhm.
just constantly showing up with what they need
Mhm.
usually allows them to be able to kind of calm down, you know, and let you kind of work a little bit more freely. And I understand it's your business. You got to know, you want to know, you're trying to see the numbers ain't adding up. It's 1,700 today, 1,600 today. We trying to do 8,000 this week. It could be, you know, really scary and really, really, really nerve wracking for them
Mhm.
as an owner operator. So just giving them education and information usually works when it comes to relaxing their nerves and
Mhm.
allowing them to see that I know enough to be able to guide them properly.
Okay. And then as far as the so every business has a culture, and every
Yes.
environment there's like a every company has like a company culture. How do you set yourself apart from the type of culture that your business operates in when it comes to dealing with your clients, as well as the persona that other people see of your business?
Well, we focus a lot on experience.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I went to Louis Vuitton, I already knew that I got to come back. I got to come back in here. When I went to Tiffany for the first time, I will be back, because it's how they make you feel. It's what they provide. It's the quality in which they give. And so that is what I took to put in towards my brand when it came to truck dispatching. I really wanted them to have someone that cared, but also a person that was innovative and a person that could really understand that I put my own spin on this. And
Right.
our communication is in fact electronic. A lot of people do a lot of text messaging and things. We don't do that.
Mm.
We don't do that. So that is kind of new for a lot of trucking companies.
Mm-hmm.
We also send physical documentation. So I may mail them. Not only do we mail their rate cards and all
Okay.
information every single week anyway, but we
Mm-hmm.
also mail birthday cards. We also support their children's events. So if one of my drivers says, "Hey, I got a baby shower, I got to go home," I make sure that we show up with the gift.
Wow.
If their children are participating in something and we can help in any way by sponsoring something or doing something, I try to make sure that we're present. So
That's
for me,
awesome.
the culture of the company is just providing an experience and a unity that in return creates loyalty. And so they don't want
Right.
to leave me. They enjoy working with me and they always refer business over to us.
Girl, shoo. Okay. That's amazing because really when you experience something that good, you really want to keep that experience. I just went and got my nails done not too long ago, and it's a natural nail salon. You know how it is when you go to the hood spot and they be talking over you and
Yeah, of course.
they so rough sometimes. This was really an experience. So I completely understand. It was like a spa environment in there. I didn't smell any
Yes.
nail polish. They only use organic stuff. I said, oh, I come back in here. This is, and granted, I did research it because I was looking for something natural. And there are
Mhm.
people who are looking for something different. They're looking
That's so
for
true.
that thing that sets you apart. And
Hmm.
so that's the beautiful thing about life is that really and truly, if we're honest with ourselves and if we look at the truth, there really is no competition
It is
because
not.
everybody literally brings their own sauce and their own self to the
And that's so true.
industry, to the business. And nobody could do it like Akira Barlow. Nobody
And
could
I
do
agree.
it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, um, just if we just be ourselves and bring the whatever the ideas that God puts in our minds to the table,
That's
then
right.
it's gonna work. It's gonna
Yeah,
work. It's gonna work.
it's gonna
So
work.
so what would you say your biggest success has been so far?
I think my biggest success is just maintaining and securing the carriers that we have. So currently we're dispatching for 36 companies.
Mm, okay.
And which is so crazy because last year we were actually dispatching for almost 40 companies as well. And I got so frustrated with just the structure of my business
Mm-hmm.
and hiring the wrong people. I let everybody go and I started from
Wow.
scratch all over again.
Wow.
So just in the matter of the last 4 months, we've been able to go from 44 carriers to zero, from zero to 36.
Mm.
So
In 4 months.
in 4 months. In
Wow.
4 months, I actually have a wait list right now, like an actual wait list. And
Mm.
so I just attest all of that to the brand itself. People are always so surprised that it's so clean and that they don't see, trucking material or 18 wheelers. And
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to give a consulting feel. I wanted to give something that wasn't out here. And it's
Yeah.
it's working great. It's going
Yes.
great for business, great for marketing. So just being able to connect with fleet owners and ambitious owner operators who really care about their business, because I really have some good drivers. I
Mm-hmm.
have some great owners. And I'm just glad that God has positioned this business, the way that He has. Because I tell people all the time, I don't do much. I just listen and then do. Okay.
Oh, that's the key.
That is
Listen and
it.
then do.
That's it. That is the key. So
Wow.
it's working so far, and I don't plan on changing much at all.
Okay. That's awesome. So like if you had to break down what you do, like so if someone is listening and they hold on a second. If someone here is listening and they are, thinking about going in this direction as far as dispatching and trying to figure out how to set themselves apart, what would you say like are 3 steps that they would definitely need to consider before even, or actually as they go in the direction of getting started? But like
Great
3 simple steps.
question. I would say number one, focus on what you enjoy. When I first started dispatching, I hated it. I still don't really like dispatching. Okay. Like, let's just keep it all the way real.
Okay,
with
girl, let me tell
everybody,
you something. I told my husband that this might sound really kid to dispatch. I don't like it.
Yeah. Like, it's not a preference. So
Yes.
to me, it's kind of like data entry, busy work, and the constant changes, and like it really aggravates me. However, finding what I do enjoy about it, and that is being able to piece together a revenue plan for somebody. Because I do come from a finance kind of background. I've always been a hustler. So being able to put the numbers together to make it make sense is kind of my thing. And so finding what you enjoy. If you enjoy working with the authorities because you're able to get the information, then go there. If you enjoy working with produce, stick with your reefers. If you enjoy working with people that don't have a CDL, they just want to make a little money, they have the real small box trucks, you really have to just find what it is that you do enjoy and hone in on that. And because I care about helping people financially and getting them to see the overall big picture, that is my role in the business. I don't do anything other than that role. I hire dispatchers because I don't really care to do the dispatching work, but I do love the consulting and the education aspect of the business. So I can hire somebody to dispatch and then I can perform in my role. So just finding what you enjoy and sticking to that. Secondly, I would say find a niche. Trucking is so broad, it's so big.
Yes, it
you
is.
know, you can dispatch all sorts of types of equipment. You can hire people, you can work with people overseas. Like there's so many different aspects of it, but just finding that niche. If you're going to work with new authorities, focus on that. If you want to work with women-owned operators, that would be great. If you want to work with people who had an authority for at least a year, just finding where your placement is and where you feel the most comfortable is really, really important.
So true.
Lastly, I would say market in which you feel comfortable. I get tons of questions about my marketing. I get tons of questions like, who was the girl on the flyer? Like, who's the girl on your marketing? I get tons of questions like that. And I did not want to be the face of my brand. I wanted a brand that could sustain if I wasn't here today. You know what I'm saying? So I did not want to be the face of my brand. So I did select a brand ambassador, and we have been using her images on our marketing because I still wanted to give it that brown girl look. I did not want people to, be confused. When you sign up with Dispatch with Barlow, this is an African American led company, and I wanted you to know that from the beginning. Okay, I wanted you to see this melon from the beginning.
Okay, and let me tell you something. Okay, I remember the first time I saw one of the flyers. Yeah. I look at chocolatey and like me.
Okay. Yes. Like, and my drivers love it. I have gotten so many compliments, just so many inquiries like, hey, I just saw the flyer. Like, are you the girl on the flyer? And it just brings so, many referrals, so much conversation. And that's what you want. You want brand awareness. Absolutely. And it is definitely doing what it's supposed to do. It's giving what it's supposed to give.
Okay, supposed to be given. Okay. That's awesome. That's really, really, that's really inspiring because, sometimes we think things, I think sometimes we overthink things.
Definitely.
And, that's why I always ask for the three simple steps. Okay. Yep. So do something that I like.
Yep.
Find a niche.
Yep.
And think about the marketing, how market in a way that's comfortable for me. And, and it's so important. Like, so before I got into this, into trucking, I was a pre-K teacher, pre-K.
Okay. I can see that. I can see you being a teacher.
I enjoyed it. Like, I love working with them little kids and, but I'm grateful that God moved me on, and we got to know when it's time to move on,
Close the door when that season is over.
Exactly. And I struggled though, because I was considered an expert in that field because I dealt so well with the kids and taught so well and got accolades and stuff from my school. And I struggled a little bit trying to find my place in this industry. Like, okay, well, what am I supposed to do? Like, I mean, and so really getting to the foundation of who you are and why you're here is so important. And then honoring that.
It
Sometimes we
is
be trying to push ourselves outside in some boxes that really
that you're not supposed to be
don't
tapping
do
in,
it.
and then you're confused why it doesn't work out because
Yeah,
you're not you're not in alignment, and that's really
exactly.
important. I
Yeah.
have people asking me all the time, like, do you do video content? Are you marketing physically? Do you market offline? And yes, before I even brought my business to social media, we did six figures.
Mm.
Social media to me is a bonus because luckily in the trucking world is not necessary like a lot of other businesses. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of businesses do require that Instagram, Facebook kind of vibe, but trucking does not. And I love that about it because if I don't want to show up on Instagram today, it doesn't affect how much money I'm going to make tomorrow.
That's
You
true.
know, if
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like myself and I don't want to be on camera, I don't have to.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it doesn't affect the flow of the brand.
Yeah.
And so that was important to me because prior to this business, my previous businesses required me to show up every day. Like they
Mm-hmm.
required me. And so I learned a huge lesson. And I did not want to do that this time around with this business.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So we're about to wrap up because I want to be respectful of your time,
Oh,
girl.
yes.
Um, so you mentioned before that you were in financial liter in like in the financial world, and I know that one of the things that a lot of new entrepreneurs struggle with is the finances, and especially as African Americans, like starting a business, running a business, like the financial side of it is not necessarily something that we've been taught. So,
Exactly.
what would you say is something? Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, what
Okay.
would you say is something that um, you know, like what's the most important thing that a new entrepreneur should know or should consider when it comes to the finances and the financial part of running their business?
Mainly understanding that your pay is not the business's profit. We are not really taught how to pay ourselves when we
Mhm.
open these LLCs. And a lot of times it hinders us when we're trying to make bigger purchases later. So what I've learned is that number one, you need an accounting software, whether you have an accountant or not. You need QuickBooks, you need a personal system just to document expenses and just to document income. You have
Mm,
to do that. And you also have to determine how much money you're personally going to make per transaction.
okay.
So for me, I actually have a flat fee service when it comes to dispatching,
Hmm.
and it kind of goes into my business model. So
Okay.
for me, um, my salary is literally only $44 a client, and that's not a lot of money. But I tell people all the time, it's and crucial to understand what your role is in the business. And I know
Mm,
my role. And so my role is paid a salary. And that salary is based on what makes sense, not what looks
okay.
good from Instagram. The business
Mhm,
may
mhm.
have made six figures, but I did not. Okay.
Right, right,
I did not take home six figures. Okay. The
right.
business made six figures. And I
Got it.
think
Hmm.
that distinction is really, really rare to hear and understand in our
Yeah, so
community when
true.
it comes
So
to
true.
business.
So true.
So staying on top of taxes, that is something we're not taught. We don't hear about that. So
Mhm.
every time there's a transaction as far as a carrier making their payment for the service, we designate a certain percentage for taxes. We designate a certain percentage towards marketing, and then of course the payroll. And the remainder remains in the actual business account. We do have a marketing fund, and our marketing fund is literally set each month, and we rarely exceed it. Like we rarely exceed it. Dispatch is a very low overhead business. And usually once you reach a certain amount of drivers and carriers, you
Mhm.
don't have to constantly market. You don't have to constantly bring in new people. So you shouldn't be spending money on marketing all the time.
Right.
So just being aware of where the money needs to go and what's important to the business based on the business goals, and just having that accounting software and understanding how much you deserve as the owner is crucial. It's crucial.